Hello and welcome to our Insight Live. We're very punctual today, right on 12 o'clock Eastern. So hello from New York. My name's Nikki and I look after marketing communications at Insight. We have had a ton of requests to teach everyone and explain a little bit more about Insight Onsite. Onsite is Insight's ScaleUp engine, so a group of operating experts that work day in, day out with our portfolio to help them as they scale. So today I'm really excited to be joined by Pablo Dominguez, who is the operating partner at our Sales and Customer Success Center of Excellence. Pablo, thank you for being my guinea pig as part of the Onsite team and joining me today. It's really great to have you on.
No worries, Nikki. Super excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, as we start our LinkedIn Live, as I said, this is really to dive deep into your role at Insight and how you use sales excellence to really partner with portfolio companies on that scale-up journey. So before we talk about your experience, can you tell me a little bit more about Onsite and the Centers of Excellence?
Yeah, absolutely. So for most companies, as they start to scale, right, they're moving from the startup to the scale-up phase, and then obviously to grown up after that. A lot of companies are facing challenges, right? Or they're trying to figure out how to run their business effectively. Everything from product, how do I maximize throughput from my product engineering team and operations? Marketing, how do I drive demand generation, right? Am I getting enough leads into my business so I can scale and grow? Sales and customer success, which I run, how do I segment the market appropriately? How do I sell into enterprise? We have a team, Ignite helps our companies access the Global 2000. From a customer success perspective, a lot of companies are struggling with, as I start to scale more, I'm starting to see churn, right? How do I deal with that? How do I ensure I'm not losing customers, that I'm able to expand into customers? From an M&A perspective, you might be thinking, as I grow more, should I acquire somebody, right? Should I be acquired? All things that you're thinking through. And most importantly, really from a talent perspective, every company has to add talent, right? You're either doubling talent, tripling talent. Over your lifetime, you're probably quintupling talent, right? So what talent do I go after? Where do I get that talent? How do I optimize how I bring that talent in as efficiently as possible? So all of those are challenges that companies face. And the beautiful thing about Insight and the Onsite team is we have operating experts and teams that are designed to help you on that journey along all of those functional issues.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, as a startup and then graduating to a scale up, there is so much to think about and so many different functions, and you've just named a bunch of them. But specific to sales, you mentioned segmentation and knowing what job roles to leverage. Can you go deeper there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you an example. We were working with one of our portfolio companies that has a very large presence in Europe. And they were thinking, should I segment my customers differently? I'm getting to a certain size of scale where maybe I should go after different verticals, or the segmentation I had before wasn't appropriate. And from that, should I introduce different roles, right? It's very common for companies as they scale to start out with roles that do everything, right? They're doing new business acquisition, potentially expansion. At some point, you start to think through, do I break that up into two roles, right? Then further, should somebody just be doing renewals? So we basically help them with that. The beautiful thing is we started with that, and now we've sort of shifted to, okay, can you help us think through how to properly incent these individuals, right? Mm. And how do we train them? Should we be choosing, a methodology that's very operational and process focused, or something that focuses more on targeting the enterprise? So the engagement really just depends on what the company's needing. But also, again, tying back to the different issues they have, while we're working on sales and customer success issues, it's a perfect time to identify, hey, you know what? There's a dependency with marketing, right? They actually do need some help on top of funnel. So why don't you all engage with our marketing COE, which is what this company has now done.
Amazing. Yeah, that's, nothing happens in isolation. And you've just talked about hiring new roles, all of these to expand a sales team. All of these are such growing pains that an entrepreneur needs to think about all at once. And that's really tough. So how did that engagement work with your team? And can you run me through when a portfolio joins, for instance, and becomes part of the Insight family, how do they work with Onsite and really leverage your talents as the Sales and Customer Success Center of Excellence?
Yeah, so the great thing about how we operate is we've built out organizations, not only mine, but my peers, of experts, right, in their respective fields. And so when companies join the Insight portfolio, they're getting access to people that have done these roles, right? Whether it's in sales or CS or marketing, talent, product, et cetera. And so you're getting a broad breadth of people that have done this for a company your size, have seen the next evolution, have done it in public companies. So it really gives them a good perspective of what's possible. We also have 220 something companies that we work with, within the portfolio.
Yay.
So there's a
400
good level of, exactly. Yeah, it's a good level of pattern recognition that you build, right? Where not only do you get access to, okay, the expertise that our team might bring, but a lot of times we get questions around, hey, can you connect me with a CRO that's dealing with the same issues I have, right? Or I want to talk to someone who's in that next stage that I'm evolving to understand how they made that leap, what challenges they had, what made them successful. So we try and connect the dots for those individuals.
Nice. So you said a team of experts. So let's talk about you as an expert then. Tell me about your career and kind of how that has now aligned to your job helping 220 portfolio companies scale up.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I've got a unique set of skills that I've built out over the years. I started in management consulting, Salesforce effectiveness at the Alexander Group, and then I made the leap to industry, and I've worked in a Fortune 1000 company, a Fortune 250 company. So I've seen what good looks like at large companies. And to be honest with you, people have this false expectation that like, oh, once we go public, when we're $1 billion or $2 billion, they have it all figured out. They don't. No one has it figured out, right? There's different issues that every company has. So don't fool yourself that once you get to 100 to 150, $1 billion, it just gets easier, right? It's just a different set of things to focus on. And then I made the transition to a startup in Manhattan that I was at for 5 years, and we scaled significantly, right? And we had a very successful exit. And that's given me a unique perspective on how to think about the scale up journey as well, because I've done the consulting, the large company, the small company. And as I've started to build out my team here at Insight, my experience has allowed me to really focus on, well, what skills do we need, right? What level of expertise do we need to add the maximum value to our portfolio companies? So we've tried very hard to hire a unique set of skills that cover the entire go-to-market spectrum, right? People that have done large companies, startups, scale-ups, because we want to provide that maximum value to our portfolio companies. And as we start to learn more from our portfolio companies on what they need, we'll obviously adjust how we scale up our team, new people that we bring onto the team as well. One thing I do want to call out, because we see this a lot, right? Working at AppNexus, which was the startup I was at in New York, it was the first product-led company I'd been at. So my entire career had been, there's really product-led and then sales-led, right? If you're in B2B. In B2C, there's obviously marketing, but on B2B, sales-led companies are driven very differently. Everything is sales, 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 right? And product is ancillary. In product-led, it's the opposite, right? There's a strong focus from product-led founders on, developing the product, and then sales comes next. And that's something I had to appreciate because it wasn't something I knew. And, the majority of our companies, I'd say 60, 70% are product-led, right? So without that experience, I wouldn't have had the appreciation for the challenges that our CEOs have, how they're looking to get stronger and go to market. So that's been unique. The second thing to call out, Nikki, which is also interesting because I have the big company experience and small, is sort of the Ferrari analogy that I use a lot, right? So when you're in a large company and you join, you get asked, a lot of times you get handed a pickup truck, right? And you get asked to build the Ferrari. And okay, that might be hard, but you have a vehicle that's got 4 wheels and there's a chassis and stuff. So you're starting with something. And when I went to AppNexus, I'm looking around and I'm like, there's no pickup truck, there's no car. And it's basically built from the ground up, right? There's no process. He's like, you are the process. You are the processes, right? Build this for us. And so sometimes there's a garage, but there aren't parts in it to even build the car. And what I've learned is sometimes you don't need to build the car. You need to build the skateboard or the bike because that's what the company needs at that moment. And some of the issues that companies make is they hire people or they try to over-engineer to build that truck or Ferrari when the company isn't ready for it, right? So it's almost like the body rejects the organ and you lose a lot of time and scale. So it's knowing when to make certain recommendations for different stages of a company, I think is one of the most critical things that we've learned with the companies that we work with.
Definitely. And, I like what you're talking about there of the different stages. A scale up is a journey. And so for those of you who are just tuning in, we're talking to Pablo Dominguez, the operating partner of our Sales and Customer Success Center of Excellence. And at Insight, we invest in companies on that scale up journey. So they've graduated from product market fit focused startup world and, put the foosball table aside, and they're really focused on their operational excellence. And at a Series A scale up, your journey looks very different than a pre-IPO scale up. And that's something that you clearly have highlighted about your experience, is that you're able to kind of bring the right information and right support at every step. So I love that. And can you tell me now, your expertise, there's no denying it, you're excellent. You're one of my favorites to work with at Onsite. But tell me a little bit more about your team. What about customer success? You have some really impressive CS experts on your team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we've tried to build a team of Navy SEALs, right, that are predominantly generalists, because we want them to be strong across all the elements of go-to-market, right? Everything from, we focus on everything from strategy, right? Sales strategy, channel strategy, org design, to effectiveness. So how do I do enablement? How do I do onboarding, training, to tactical items around forecasting, pipeline management, what sales KPIs and CS KPIs should I be using, to then really understanding, okay, well, what's the go-to-market tech stack I should use to help me in each of those things, right? And one of the areas where we wanted to invest significantly as a firm is customer success, because as companies start scaling, right, when you're smaller, you're focused just on new business.
You just want customers.
To bring new customers in,
yeah.
Right? Any customer is a good customer.
Yeah.
And once you have enough customers from a base, your next focus is, okay, can I expand those customers, right? Mm-hmm. Can I sell them new products? Can I sell more of what I already sold them? And then you get to a certain inflection point where more than half your business starts to become expansion in existing business. And you start to worry about, okay, my initial contracts that I sold are coming up for renewal, right? Yeah. And the challenges are, am I going to be able to renew these customers? Have I done a good job selling them and expanding them to where they want to continue to do business with me? And losing an existing customer is very costly, right? Yeah. From they could say bad things about you in the market. They could talk to your other prospects that you're trying to sell to. So we hired an expert, right? Sama just joined our team this fall to really focus and help us build out more expertise in customer success. Our team already has that expertise, but now we have sort of a vertical specialist, just because it's so important to focus on net retention, right? Making sure you've got high net retention for growth, because that's how valuations increase. Making sure that your gross retention is high, right? If you're only retaining 50% of your customers, 60%, you've got to fill more on the top end of the bucket, which is a lot harder to do, right? So we're putting a lot more focus on there, starting to put key metrics, KPIs, working with our companies on, a lot of questions we get is, when do I add customer success? And also, well, what is customer success, right? Is it account management? Is it driving adoption? Is it driving renewals? Is it professional services? Is it implementation? Is it support? It's all of the above, right? But going back to working with companies on the scale-up journey, it's different things to different people along that spectrum. So having that expertise and focus is going to help us be much more in tune with our portfolio companies.
Awesome. And that's the thing is, it's different stages, and you need to know, back to your Ferrari analogy, of when to build what, because otherwise you can waste so much time. We see so many CEOs come into the portfolio having spent time focused on something that they're just not ready for, and we need to kind of right that ship and get them back on that journey. And I think sales, everyone who's listening in knows that sales is absolutely critical to growth and to success as you scale up. And you've mentioned one of customer success helping fix the leaky bucket. But what are some of the other biggest challenges that you see sales teams either come into the portfolio with or resurface that hinder their growth?
Yeah, there's a lot, but I'd say, three things that we see consistently. And I would say this is along the entire spectrum. So it applies to I'll try and touch all company sizes, right? First and foremost is leadership, right? Do I have the right sales VP, CRO, SVP? It doesn't really matter the title, but the person in charge of running the commercial organization, is that the right person, right? And really excited that I know we're going to do another LinkedIn live session next week where Travis Cassie and Helen Hua from my team, and then Helen on the talent seal, we are going to talk about what to look out for, right, when you're hiring that sales SVP, to make sure you're not tripping up on certain things. But we do make mistakes there. And going back to the Ferrari analogy, like the single biggest mistake is you're hiring for the wrong skill set, right? Right now, I need someone that can help me go from 5 to 20 million, and you hire someone that's only done 50 million plus.
Yep.
Right? So how do they even know how to do that, right? Or you're trying to go and sell enterprise to enterprise customers, which is a much more of a consultative sale, and you bring somebody that's only done very transactional SMB, mid-market, inside sales, and they've never done that, right? So could it work? Yes, but it's just going to slow you down, and it's probably not going to work, right?
Yep.
So that's first and foremost. The second one is comp drives behavior, right? Sales compensation, which is everybody's favorite or not favorite topic, in terms of how do I really incent my team to drive growth, right? And so you want simple plans that are clear, that reps don't have to go pull out their calculator and do calculus to figure out, hey, did I get paid on this deal or not, right? And you want them to be motivating. You don't want to be penalizing reps for basic things. And so we see some times where plans are too complex, reps don't get it, or when we talk to some of the reps, they go, I don't really know how I get paid. I just do my job and I get a paycheck, right? And you don't want that, right? You want comp to align to strategies so you can drive the right things. And then I'd say the third thing is really thinking about capacity, right? So I have a growth expectation as the head of sales or the CEO and the COO. Do I have the right number of resources to hit that number, like right now, right? So sometimes companies look at their capacity and they go, okay, I don't have the right number of resources, but I'm hiring 5 people this year. Okay, have you thought about when they're going to start? How long it's going to take them to ramp? Are you actually going to get any productivity from them? Oh, wait, I'm not. So now I have a hole to fill, right? So I've got to think through very carefully. Right. And then tying it back to really thinking about all of the company issues. Just because I'm adding 5 people, have I thought about the implications that has on marketing? Is marketing prepared to give me enough leads for those people, right? If product is hiring a bunch of engineers because they're going to build a whole bunch of new product, am I sales prepared to sell that product, right? Is marketing prepared to help me with the messaging, et cetera? So that connectivity between the functions is something that we at Insight and Onsite try to also bring to the portfolio companies.
And we had a question about sort of the marketing strategies and what scale-ups should be thinking about, and startups as they graduate to scale up and scale-ups as they grow for marketing. So whoever asked that, just stay tuned. Next week, we're going to have Gary Service, who is the marketing Center of Excellence operating partner, to talk about that specific thing. But Pablo, to your point, it's, you're building an organization that is integrated. And I love your Ferrari analogy, because Ford versus Ferrari, you need to have the best driver in the driving seat, so your SVP, but you also need everyone in the boat rowing in the same direction. You need your pit crew all operating together. So we will be bringing on all of the different operating partners, and to your point, Travis Cassie and Helen Hua, to talk about talent. So stay tuned, everyone listening. But my last question, because you guys do a ton of work, and anyone that's looking for like our benchmarks or our, jump onto our blog, because some of the insights there, and if you're a part of the portfolio, go on to Go, which is our ScaleUp community platform, because there is just pure gold of data analysis in there. But you do a ton of work, and your team. What do you think is and this is probably going to be asking you to pick amongst your favorite children, what's been your team's proudest partnership to date, and what results did you see and really help drive alongside that company?
Yeah, so I'll answer that in 2 ways, because one of the things, I love the way we work with our portfolio companies. I love the relationships we've built, the trust we've built with the founders, the heads of sales, anybody that's touching go-to-market, right? So we try to make it a point as a team and across Onsite, right, to always make that interaction as awesome as possible, right? So you're asking me like to pick my favorite child, right? I'll pick an example where the results had the highest impact, I think, that we weren't expecting, because I think that's relevant, Nikki.
That's very diplomatic.
I'll pick Gainsight. Nick Mehta, just, they engaged us, I think it was a year and a half. I get lost because of COVID, but I think it was end of 2019, in Q3, Q4, we had engaged with them and Ashvin, who runs customer success at Gainsight, to help them on post-sales process, right? How to optimize post-sales process and take waste out of the system, because every company has waste. And we partner with, one of our key partners is Matt May at Stratekia, who helps us with strategy, with lean. And so we did a lean optimization session with Gainsight, and they were already starting to do some optimization. So it was perfect to dovetail into their work stream. And what lean does is it helps identify where you have inefficiencies in your processes, right? And how to take those out without investing anything, right? You're not adding people, you're not adding technology. It's just about removing waste. And typically when we do lean, we see 20 to 25% improvement in time to value in the sales process, right? End to end, from sales to post sales. Yeah. And you can go to I think we're going to post it, but you can go to the Gainsight website and blog, and the team actually they had 66% improvement in time to value.
Wow.
So I don't know if we'll ever match that with another portfolio company or in my career.
You will. Aim high.
But absolutely amazing that Nick and the team was able to take out that much waste to make their process more efficient. That's obviously awesome for the customer, right? Because now I'm onboarding more quickly or getting help more quickly. But absolutely amazing, and a great partnership there, with us and Gainsight. Now they're part of the Vista portfolio. So a lot of great things happening with them as well.
That's awesome. And I lied. I've got one more question, because my boyfriend is in sales, and I know he's desperate for COVID. You mentioned it with COVID years. He's desperate for COVID to go back to, for life to go back to normal so he can get out and be a seller. And I know that you've worked really closely with our portfolio companies to help them evolve and adapt during COVID. But what are you looking forward to most when COVID ends, or when?
Yeah, so from a business perspective, I honestly cannot wait to go meet live with our portfolio companies. I know every salesperson and sales leader I talk to and customer success person is saying the same thing. And we've become efficient, I think, with COVID. Like, I think virtual selling and doing things will change the way we go to market forever. But there's something different about being live and preparing for a meeting and sharing that experience. Right before COVID, we were in Europe, in Belgium, with Showpad. And we had just finished a pretty meaty engagement with them, and we were having dinner and just sharing the camaraderie with PJ, the CEO, Hendrik, the CRO, and the team around how we're going to help them scale, what they're looking forward to, et cetera. It's just, you can't get that interaction on Zoom. Like, I love Zoom and all, but I'm just looking forward to getting out back in front of our portfolio companies to help them engage differently.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I miss you too live. I'd just like that known. Well, Pablo, thank you so much for joining me today live, to talk as live as we can be, to talk about the Sales and Customer Success Center of Excellence and all of the incredible work that you do with the portfolio. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. Thank you all.